Or you needed to print one out or something? Oh, is it on here? If it's on here, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Sorry.
No.
No.
Thank you. Okay, we can begin recording. I didn't hear the confirmation on recording. Are we currently recording?
It says so on our side.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 7:36. Welcome to the June 1st, 2026 meeting of the Mayor and Town Council of Forest Heights, Maryland. This meeting will now come to order. I ask that any members of the audience or anyone that's in the room, please silence any electronic devices at this time. And thank you for joining us. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hines,
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Here.
Councilmember Brownson,
Here.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember McDonald,
Here.
Council President Noble,
Here.
Mayor Lilly.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next on our agenda, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and at this time, we ask that everyone who is able will join us in standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next on our agenda, we have meeting minutes. The meeting minutes for May 20th were distributed in advance. Are there any changes or corrections to the May 20th meeting minutes? Councilmember Brownson.
I wasn't at the meeting, but I see that the attendance, the roll call, it doesn't list the absences of the council in the roll call of the minutes. And that's a requirement for Robert's rule to say who's present and who's absent.
Madam Clerk.
I want to make sure I'm moving forward in the correct manner. The top portion does say members present. And
Right,
so it indicates there, but below where they have the reports, it indicates who was not present, what council persons were not present.
but it's supposed to be when you do the attendance initially.
Okay, no problem. I'll make sure I do that and I'll change these minutes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there are no further changes or corrections, the meeting minutes, do you have an additional correction or change?
Yeah, I have a question. I watched I wasn't at the meeting, but I watched the tape. And it was down in public period. I know there was a question from someone online asking about where can they get the budget? And this is not listed on the minutes. So I think that's important that the questions that the public period are asked are listed in the minutes.
Madam Clerk, if you can review and report back if you find that in the video portion. Thank you. All right, meeting minutes are approved with corrections noted. Next on our agenda, we have approval of the main agenda. Before we consider approving the main agenda, I move that we amend the agenda, adding a closed session at the end after legislation for obtaining legal advice from counsel. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, adding a closed session after legislation to obtain legal advice from counsel. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? So that would be a nay.
Nay.
All right, the ayes have it, and the motion is approved to amend. I move that we adopt the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Missing a few votes? They're listed as actionable unless the council decides otherwise. Mr. Jackson.
The swearing in for Mr. Ford will not happen. He's unable to attend tonight.
The swearing in for Mr. Ford, he won't be able to attend tonight, and we wanted to know if we can move it to the 14th.
Okay, so we'll need an additional amendment, it sounds like. So there's currently a motion on the floor to adopt the agenda as amended. We'll make an additional amendment. I move that we amend tonight's agenda further, moving the swearing in for the code enforcement officer to the next meeting. What's the date for that meeting?
Should be the 14th. 14th. 17th. Oh, 17th.
Okay, so we'll move it to June 17th. That's the motion, to move the code enforcement officer swearing in to June 17th. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we further amend tonight's agenda by moving the swearing in for the code enforcement officer to the June 17 meeting. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Any other amendments to the agenda or changes? Okay, I move that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended.
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted as amended. We have two proclamations on the agenda tonight, but in the interest of time, I will not read them. The first is for Caribbean Heritage Month. I move that we adopt the Caribbean Heritage Month proclamation.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the Caribbean Heritage Month proclamation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The proclamation is adopted. And for those at home who don't get a chance to read it, what's the date of that event? That's actually going to be signifying the entire month. Okay, so it's not a date. Okay. Next, we'll go to the Code Enforcement Appreciation Week proclamation. I move that we adopt the Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week proclamation.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation proclamation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. And that is this week, June 1st through June 7th. Next, we will have a stop sign monitoring data presentation from Mr. Wade Borman and the team at Avio Incorporated. Good
Hello.
evening, Mr. Borman.
Hi, everyone. So I'm gonna,
Just a moment.
yes, sir.
It looks like either his device or our monitor inside the room is muted.
Can you not hear me?
We can hear you online.
Can you hear any of us?
Just a moment, Mr. Borman. Okay, are you able to speak now? Try again, Mr. Borman.
Yes, sir. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen one moment. Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes. Are you able to make it full screen on?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good to go. Okay, so thank you all for having me tonight. My name again is Wade Borman. I work with Avio, who administers the stop sign camera program, the Let's Drive Safer program. I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't be here in person, but it's nice to see everybody and meet anybody I haven't met before. We do have some exciting data to share. Please, any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know, but I'll try to be brief since I know you all are busy. So far, since we started in January 2026, we've seen a decrease in stop sign running behavior at the 11 intersections by 42%, which is amazing to see in such a short time. And we're only hoping and expecting it to go down more. So a little bit about what I'll kind of be sharing today, where we stand with the program, kind of who's getting the citations, residents versus non, repeat offenders, first time offenders, things like that. And then I'll have an appendix as well. I'll share this out for you all to also reference as well. So where things stand now, like I said, 42% decrease since January 2026. As you can see, the higher red bars are anything give or take 10 mile an hour or more, someone running a stop sign. As you can see, that has actually come down a decent amount in itself, which are those orange and red are really the most egregious. Really, those violations were most interested in stopping and eliminating. So you can see 42% is pretty solid. Starting with when we first started in January, we were at that 7,000 over 17,000 mark, and now we're right under 10,000, so doing pretty solid. This is a breakdown per location. As you can kind of see, more or less same trend across these first 6 intersections, with the highest being a 58 to 57% decrease in some of those bigger intersections. So great to see. And here's the other locations, the other 5 locations, not as much of a decrease, but still a decrease across all locations. So what we like to do is we like to break it down by different ways. This graph shows you throughout the week. What we find is in Forest Heights specifically, we have almost a decrease on weekends. Although Saturday is the second highest, we have a huge decrease on Sunday. I don't know, maybe you all would know your traffic behaviors more, but maybe less people are traveling, probably less people going to work, less people going to school, things like that. So not surprising, but this is interesting data to see, I guess, as the week goes on, seems to be more violations. Your weekday average looking about 1,900 violations per day, weekend being 1,800. So Friday obviously kind of makes sense. People are ready to get home and get their weekend started. Here we break down by time of day. Always interesting to see. Most towns have this same kind of peak in the morning. People are late getting to work, late dropping the kids off, more prone to running a stop sign to get there on time. And then you also see that bump for that evening commute as well. So this is interesting. The next thing we'll go over is who's getting cited. Very interesting data coming from Forest Heights. We have 97% of all violations sent to date are non-residents. So 34,332 citations going to non-Forest Heights residents. Huge cut through issues in Forest Heights. I think you all knew that. And I think that's one of the reasons we brought this program to Forest Heights. That leaves only 2.8% of these citations going to residents, only 996 citations. So huge stark difference in who is violating, frankly, in your town. So here's a little breakdown of where those would be, mostly Oxon Hill, probably not surprising. DC, Fort Washington, also not surprising. But Forest Heights being way down at number 8 with only 2.8%. Super impressive. Not a lot of towns see that kind of residents versus non-residents breakdown. Also super interesting. In January, we were hovering around the 5% were residents. And every month, as you would expect, the residents kind of know where the cameras are. They've changed their behavior, maybe changed their route. We're down to 1.3% in May. So we've seen an overall 2.82% decrease. This is broken down residents share by location, a little more, in the center of town versus the more cut through the cut through streets. Here's the other 3. And then this slide here is an interesting repeat offenders data, basically saying most people, the 17,000 citations, only get 1 citation, and they change their behavior, they don't get another one. And as you can see, it goes down and down and down. Most people learn their lesson after 2, maybe 3 tickets, maybe 4. But then you have the folks who get 5 or more, and they continue to get 5 or more. And we find that across most towns, the people who are going to repeat offend are going to repeat offend, and those who are going to change their behavior are the majority of folks who, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that behavior change overall. So that's my presentation. I can take any questions, comments, anything like that. I know I kind of did that quick. I just want to make sure you guys had enough time.
Thank you, Mr. Borman. I'll open it up to questions from council. While folks are gathering their thoughts, I have a question on the breakdown for residents versus non-residents.
Yes, sir.
How was that determined?
Residents versus non-residents is based on zip code. So we take any zip codes that are Forest Heights, and those are considered residents. Anything else would be non-residents.
So if you're using a 20745 zip code, that would pull up Oxon Hill, Forest Heights as well.
Okay, so you share some zip codes with other towns?
Yeah, our zip code is actually shared with the unincorporated areas of Oxon Hill
Gotcha.
in addition to Forest Heights.
Okay, so one thing we can do is we can actually pull that out. We just have, it just is a little more specific. So that's good to know. So I can go back to the team and let them know that there's some shared zip codes and we can kind of pull those out manually.
Is it possible to look at the citations like at a street level? Because we could give you a list of streets that are within Forest Heights. And if you get a citation on those streets, you'll know it was from a resident. And if not, it would break down as someone outside.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
It's open for question if you have want to ask a question.
Yeah, just to follow up, can we get do of that portion of the report so that we can know what those numbers are?
Absolutely. Yep. I
Okay.
would love to. Yeah, I want to make sure the data is right. So if y'all could send me over those streets, I'll be sure to get that corrected.
Councilmember Brownson.
I'm curious on how you're going to determine by the street if a person is a visitor from out of town and they run on Seneca, for instance, how are you going to know that that person is from Forest Heights?
Sure. So we go off of MVA data, whatever the registration of the vehicle says. So if the registration of the vehicle is registered to one of those streets, then we would know.
Okay,
That's how we kind of connect it. Yes, ma'am.
okay. Because I know we have a lot of Virginia tags here that live in Forest Heights. And so that their registration would be in Virginia.
Right. That's something that's a little harder to kind of get our head around, wrap our head around. We do have other towns that have that same issue. And unless the MVA records reflect that they live in Forest Heights, it's hard for us to pull those out.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Councilmember McDonald.
So I guess having said that, then how accurate would the data be if those individuals who are residents of the town, they're recorded as non-residents if they have Virginia tags?
Sure. It's hard to say. It really depends on how many folks, how many residents in Forest Heights have the Virginia tags. It's hard to know.
So that means that 2.8% would go up.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly would.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Don't take it the wrong way. But what relevance does that have to do with tickets? Whether they're in town, out of town, from Mars, Jupiter, if they decide not to stop, they get a ticket. The question I have is, does the camera actually log that the vehicle came to a stop, or is this all of this is falling on humans looking at the video and saying this person stopped or not?
So there's kind of a 3-step review process. First, the camera and the technology. The first step being that tech either says, yes, this is a citation, this car didn't come to a complete stop, or it did. If it did not come to a complete stop, kept rolling before the line, obviously if it stops but after line, that's still a violation. Then it gets sent to our team. Our team does an initial review basically to make sure that we don't send any false positives, that the evidence will hold up in court, that the MVA data matches what we have found on our records. Now, if we find all of that is correct, then we send it to the police department for the final and third review, where they have the power to either issue a citation or reject the violation.
I guess this one's going to be directed to our chief. So we just heard that you have to stop before the line. So if somebody stops on the line or slightly over it, they would or would not get a citation.
If they come to a complete stop, I'm sorry, if they come to a complete stop prior to the line or at the line, it's not going to give them a citation. It's the ones that are egregious that are going over the line or they don't come to a complete stop at all are the ones that we issue the citations to.
And question, and one of the biggest ones we've heard people comment on is Comanche and Livingston. Have we figured out a way to see through or around the giant bush that's blocking our view? Because a lot of people are stopping and then they have to pull up and literally come to a abrupt stop again because they can't see around it. Would that trigger a citation?
I will be 100% honest with you. We have yet to have one person that has gotten a ticket that has stopped prior to the line and then merged out into traffic. Every ticket that we have that someone has come to dispute, they roll over the line and try to merge into traffic versus stopping at the line prior, then merging into the traffic. So we have yet to see one where someone has gotten a ticket for stopping and then merging. It's more they roll over the line and then merge in, trying to merge into that traffic coming in.
So does that mean that coming to that particular intersection, the cameras record everyone and then kick out the ones that obviously stopped? Because okay.
Yep. If you stop at that line prior to merging into traffic, it won't give you a ticket. But if you go over the line to try to merge into traffic there, that's when the citation is going to be flagged or issued.
Okay. But the reason I'm asking, because obviously when you watch the footage, if you came to a stop, then it wouldn't issue the citation, but it has to take footage of every vehicle because let's say once I pass that stop or I don't, it can't go backward in time and start recording. So it must take a 5 or 10 second video of every vehicle that comes to that intersection.
Maybe 3 to 5 second video.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me go to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Borman just to confirm on how the video recording works, and then I'll go to Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, sir. So basically our cameras are recording, and anytime it senses a video, a vehicle, and if it's not a violation, that data gets wiped off of the device before it's ever sent anywhere. Now, if it is a violation, that's when it starts going through the process. It's sent to our team, and then it's either rejected or sent to the police department.
Councilmember Brownson.
How far behind the white line must a vehicle stop? So I've noticed that people now, they're stopping like way back because they don't want to go over. So how far back do you have to stop before you say you didn't stop at the white line?
So currently the technology is set up that as long as that front tire doesn't go past that line, you're okay. Now, if you stop a car length back, I would defer to the police officers to say whether if you can then continue rolling from a car length back, if that would be considered okay. But that's kind of how our technology is set up.
For us, most of the citations that we approve, if we see somebody that does do that type of stop, we won't approve it. We'll reject it. So I don't want to give you exact footage or like 2 feet, 3 feet, but if we see that they make an actual stop, because some people are making the stop and they don't want to get close to the white line.
Right.
But if we see it, we're not going to approve the ticket because they actually did make the stop.
Okay.
But what I do want to say is if you are, let's say someone's at the stop sign and you stop behind them, but then they pull out, you can't just pull out behind them.
too.
You have to make the stop at the stop
Yeah,
sign
I've
as
seen
well. Then you have to merge into traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borman, for the presentation today. If there's no further questions, we'll move on in our agenda. Just a moment. we're going to go to public period where we'll let public speak. We can't have any questions between the public and the presenter back and forth, but we will open up for public period in just a moment.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'll stick around.
Thank you. Next, we'll move into council member and mayor reports. And first, we'll begin in Ward 1 with Council Member McDonald.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have a lot to share today. We had 2 meetings. We had our 60+ committee meeting on Saturday, went very well. And we also had our Green Team meeting that is in line with our sustainability efforts and certification. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Council Member Little, also from Ward 1.
Good evening. All I have today is to let everybody in the town know, it's sad, but this month we will not be having our card and crochet as it falls on a holiday. I know. But we will reconvene. I know we will reconvene back in July. It's a holiday. Okay, so I'm very sad. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Ward 2, Council Member Brownson.
Good evening, everyone. I do want to report that since the last meeting, when we had all that rain, water backed up on Seneca and Woodland to the point, I took pictures of it, that traffic could not get through. And that has been an ongoing problem right there at Seneca and Woodland. I don't know what is being done about it, but it's a safety hazard. There was no cones or anything there, and it's particularly bad at night. You run up on this water, you got to come to a stop, and then you got to back away from it. I don't know. I mentioned it several times before, and Seneca is tore up. I mean, people are getting tires flat. I don't know. I just don't understand why we allow this street to deteriorate like that. It's bad. And that's a main thoroughfare. And nothing is being done that I can see or has been reported. And residents are fed up. And so am I. So I do know, I don't know what the solution is, but that hole right there, the town has invested almost $500,000 in trying to clean that hole out, and it's back again. So something needs to be done, because the town is going to have some lawsuits because people are going to get hurt. Their car is going to flood out. It's bad. And I got pictures if anyone wants to see them. But that's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. I also saw the water area that you're talking about. We have photographs of it. And one of the reasons why there hasn't been a comprehensive repaving of some of the areas on Seneca and some of the areas on the west side of town is because WSSC is doing pipe replacement, sewer line replacement, and there is roadway they have to tear up. However, the area you mentioned is one that is not in that, it's not on the map of where they're doing those improvements. And so we'll be looking into what can be done and analysis of that sinkhole. I remember the last time we had a major issue was in 2023 with the sinkhole, and I noticed that it appears it's becoming an issue again. So thank you for raising that. Next, we'll go to Councilmember Kennedy, also in Ward 2.
Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see a newsletter in the beginning of the month instead of at the end of the month or the next month. It does have a wealth of information in it. One of the main things that were brought up numerous times was a community shred day or cleanup also. In the newsletter does state that that will be Saturday, June 27th. The shred will be 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. The community cleanup will be 9 to 2 also. Unfortunately, we're not accepting large bulk or hazardous materials or tires this time. So if you do get a chance to, look through your newsletter, I would definitely recommend it. Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Ward 3 with Councilmember Hines.
Good evening. I first want to say that we had a Memorial's Day celebration, or just to honor. It was on the Monday, I forget the date, but it was really nice. And I just want to thank our chief of police. He was there. I want to, and just thank, Councilwoman or Council President Paula Noble and Councilwoman Teresa Brownson for coming and doing all that they did. It was really nice. We had a good turnout. The rain held, so thank you. And we had two of the veterans from Mr. Quincy Hines and Mr. Murphy. I don't know his last name. Mr. Murphy. So thank you so much for all that you guys gave. I mean, we did, and it was nice. So thank you for that. And I'm sorry, and Mr. Barnes, sorry. I can't forget you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Also, I just want to say that I have been getting some calls about the lawn, and I think I'm just going to let, Council President Noble pick that one up. But if we can just kind of like maybe take a vote on this, because I really, anyway, that's another one. But yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Council President Noble from Ward 3.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Well, I'll continue from Councilwoman Hines with the lawn service. I've contacted Councilmember Burrow's office, and again, the lawn program has not been reestablished, but if it is, people will still have to apply. So we'll follow the same process. This evening, I spoke to Ms. Mann, who has a list of those Forest Heights residents, and she says about 25 Forest Heights residents and 7 Birchwood residents. What we talked about was maybe through this beautification funding, if we could allow $15,000, I don't know how much it would cost to cut the grass during the summer. So for those residents who need it, and also coordinate with the code enforcement officer who is engaging with more seniors that may need help. So that's something, if we have a line item, or we can just add that to the beautification. And I think we have people who are willing to cut the lawns. It's not a lawn care service, it's someone to cut the grass. So it's not, they're not going to do mulching. They're not going to plant flowers. They're just going to cut the grass. So that was good. That's it. Okay. So if we can coordinate with Ms. Mann to get the list again. Also on, for the shredding, on June 13th at Friendly High School, they're having electronic recycling. So if you have some of those electronic things, you don't know what to do with them. At Friendly, I think it's 8 to 1, and that's on Allentown Road. I would like to, good news, Public Works or Police Department, I want to thank you for putting up the Do Not Enter sign at a location we've been looking at for years. It's nice and fresh. And the most important thing, a South Huron sign. So when you come up Seneca, you know, if you go right, it's north. If you go left, it's south. So that has been like a 4-year request, so I appreciate it. South Huron.
You go down Seneca.
Mhm.
Once you hit that, both left and right are South Huron. It doesn't turn in the north till you hit Park.
No. That's, okay, no, well, it's there. So when you get closer to the North Huron Safe Route to School, left is South Huron. Thank you. I've passed it for 52 years now. I think I got that street down. Thank you. On Cree, well, resident on Cree, she's a walker, young walker. Her concern is with the WSSC projects, but more than that there are not any sidewalks. She doesn't drive. There are not any sidewalks. And right now with all of this construction with WSSC, it's just not the safest route. And on that note, this is a question for the mayor or chief or town administrator. Like on the weekend, who will we call? Before in the past, it used to be an emergency number because on Seneca, the WSSC pipe was out of the ground. I mean, at least almost a foot out of the ground. No one to put a cone there. And it was just dangerous. So the people who live right there, they just watched the thing just come out the ground. So it wasn't fixed until Monday. So all weekend, this thing was, out of the ground. So if we have emergency number, maybe it's somebody we could have called to fix that. Okay. There's
it was an emergency number from someone from the town to come out and put a cone or just mark the area off.
Just something, like if there's an emergency in the town, who do we call? I mean, it's not a police emergency, but yeah.
Yeah, so in that case, if it's a item where traffic needs to be redirected or a cone needs to be placed, you can call the chief.
Okay.
The police work all the time and he can direct the call to the town administrator if it's a lesser, lower item matter. That way we can have someone come out immediately to place a cone.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's been a problem with our children going to Oxon Hill Middle, leaving from the west side of town. The school buses are crowded. The bus driver is picking them up and they're standing on the bus. So I've been engaged with the District 9 school board member and just recently with District 8. So we're trying to coordinate that to make sure our children are safe on the bus. School is almost over, but still that's a great concern. The kids are standing up on the bus. And for Forest Heights Elementary, they had their last steering committee meeting last month, so they won't meet again until when school starts, whenever that is, September or August, I don't know. I think that may do it for me for now, so that's about it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I had a quick question. Can you give the date again for the electronic, the East?
Cycling is June 13th, so it's next Saturday.
And it's gonna be where again?
Friendly High School,
What time?
8 to 1.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Okay, for today's date, June 1st, 2026, Mayor's report is brief. One update is our beautification committee has been actively working on recommendations for areas in town, entrances, parks, common areas, and they are building a list of recommendations for plants, shrubs, and trees to make Forest Heights look vibrant and cohesive. This committee will be attending an upcoming meeting to present some of the initial work that they've done to share with the town, and we hope that soon after that, residents will start seeing the improvements made around Forest Heights. Then we have our second edition of the Forest Heights Market Series, which is going to be on Saturday, June 20th from 12 to 4 p.m. at the Gathering Place next to Henry Soul Cafe. We'll have a return of music and entertainment, as well as local small business vendors and town information. You can come and sign up for committees, talk to some of the elected officials, some of the staff members, and join a committee or a commission if you'd like to volunteer. And as previously mentioned, we've got the community shred and cleanup, 2 events happening, 2 locations in town on the same day. That information has been shared already, all the details. So the flyers will be out on social media and on email blasts for those who can attend. Looking forward to seeing you. And I'm looking forward to getting rid of some items myself. That concludes my report. We can let the chief talk about that. The next item on our agenda is public period. Members of the public are given 2 minutes to address the mayor and council. We can answer some questions here on the spot. If we don't have the answer or we don't have the appropriate official, we try to follow up within 72 hours with an answer. We just ask the speakers give their name and their address. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? If you could come forward and give us your name in the microphone once that light shows up green so everyone at home can hear you as well. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
Mr. Barnes, is that light green on the microphone down on the bottom?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Barnes, previous council member, Ward 1.
If you could give us your street as well.
Pardon me?
Your street address?
Pit Lane.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I would like to dedicate my 2 minutes to the stop sign camera system. It's interesting that you had the administrator on previously. I'm a retired individual who hasn't received a ticket in over 40 years, other than in Forest Heights. I believe we as municipal residents already pay more taxes than regular PG County residents. And these tickets are only adding to residential financial difficulties. I'm going to leave my telephone number with the town office, and anyone interested in protesting this town procedure, please call me. And maybe we can take appropriate action to resolve this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. It's
Give us your
Cynthia
name.
Mann on Arapahoe Terrace.
Thank you.
2 topics. I want to publicly say, because I don't think I've ever said it publicly, I have a grave concern with the Harbor View project and the folks at the bottom of Crew Drive. I think I've shared an email with everyone, but I hope that the mayor and council be very diligent in finding some type of way to ensure that those folks at the bottom in their homes remain stable, because it's not going to happen any other way. We need to be able to offer them something to help them through this storm, because there's a storm coming for those folks at the bottom of Creed Drive. Second one, I concur. Livingston and Comanche, that stop sign, we need to get rid of it. That's just not fair. It's just not fair. You got a bush, you got to stop. Then you go, when you proceed out, if you have any kind of common sense and you're a good driver, you're going to stop again. It's the bush that's blocking it. And I think it's just an unfair setup. I don't think that's fair at all. And I also have never seen any real statistics that would populate such a program. I don't remember anybody ever getting hit, killed, or anything else after they ran a stop sign in the town of Forest Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mann. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? If you can come up and give us name and address, and then I'll give you time.
Name is Waveney Kaden, and I live at 5811 Spoken Drive.
I was wondering, this ticket business, apparently, permission was given to whomever. Now they're saying they're sending residents notices saying that I suspect if you don't pay the tickets on time, that they're going to forward those tickets on your name to the MVA. What's going on? What's going on? Can somebody explain that, please?
We'll have to get more information about that. So that's not one I can answer right now, but
Okay.
we'll try to get an answer for you.
Okay.
And not just for you, this would be for the town. But thank you for presenting. Anything else on that?
That's it.
Okay.
That seems to be the tick in everybody's hair. This ticket story.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Caden. Mr. Borman, I see you're online now. Do you have information that you can share that's reliable on that question?
Yes, sir. So if you don't pay your original fine by the due date, we do send a delinquency notice. And if that then isn't paid, you get flagged through the MVA. That basically means you can't renew your registration without paying your fines.
Thank you. I can't allow you to go back and forth, Ms. Caden. I do appreciate you being here, though. Ms. Caden, I have to maintain order of the meeting, so I'm not allowed to let you speak out of chance publicly, but I do appreciate you for coming today and sharing your question, which we were happy to get answered. We'll follow up with the town in an upcoming meeting based on the information that we have now. Councilmember Kennedy.
Can people go on the website and punch in their tag number to see if there are any tickets that they may not have gotten in the mail?
So you're able to look up your citation number, but as far as just entering a tag, you can't do like a full tag search. It's per citation.
Is that something y'all are thinking about adding, or that's a suggestion I have, because we don't always get our mail in a timely fashion, or it may not be delivered and your neighbor might not get the opportunity to get it to you until much later.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. That's something I could take back to our product team and see how long that would take.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll go Councilmember Little, then Councilmember Brownson.
My question is more so for us. Is there a real solution for that tree? Like, can we cut the tree down? I don't think we got an answer. Okay.
The tree's on private property.
Yeah, that's-
We can reach out to the owner about trimming it back, unless Mr. Jackson.
We did that last week and the owner refuses, so we have to escalate it to the next steps.
Okay. Councilmember Brownson.
Is there a law if it's impeding, you think, yeah, I think, he says no. If it's impeding visualization for people is a hazard, I think we have a right to do that.
So I think you're on the right track. It's along the lines of a traffic safety hazard. Then the town can invoke its privileges.
We have Mr. Deloach on the line. Mr. Deloach, is that something you can look into for the town to see if we have the ability to compel an owner to trim a tree or an item of foliage that is causing issues with traffic safety?
Absolutely.
I missed that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll review that.
Thank you. Okay. So Mr. Jackson and Chief, if you can work on letting us know how, based on what the charter states, we can make the request of the resident will either trim it or that the town can trim it at its expense to improve traffic safety at that intersection. There any further public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none. Public period is now closed. Next, we'll move into department reports. And the first report we have is the town administrator and project manager. Any questions for this report? Council President Noble.
Thank you. Not so much the report, but just to keep in mind, I know the mayor talked about the beautification, but on Creed Drive, the town cut some trees and left an unsightly place. And I don't know how soon you plan to beautify, but I would say one of the owners is 102 and the other one is 91. So I think we should step on it. So, because it was a bird sanctuary that was just destroyed by the town of Forest Heights. So if you could later tell me when we can expect some beautification.
Is that on private property or is it on public property?
Well, it's private property. However, the town cut the trees on the private property without permission. And I have the text messages, I have the emails where the town said it was a mistake. So how do we correct it?
Has the owner of the property expressed what they desire to see or have done with the property?
They don't want it to be an eyesore, and the neighbors don't want it to be an eyesore. So I guess I can get the owner to say something, but sometimes in the town of Forest Heights, we have a bullying situation. People want to say what they need or what their concerns are, but if you don't do this, do that, when you cut it down and you gave the owner all these citations for his site because you made a mess. So how do we fix it? I guess that's what I'm just trying, how do we fix it as a community? So, I mean, I could see if the owner, but again, at 102, I'll see what I can get. Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy.
This is going to be toward our town administrator. Do we have any trees left?
No, we'll be purchasing some more.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if we can get some kind of communication and understand clearly what is being requested, we don't want to make two wrongs with encroaching on the property, but we're happy to learn what the property owner may be interested in. I wasn't aware that the town has received anything yet, so once we do, we can take something into consideration.
Well, I think we did receive something from a neighbor, and I'm the other neighbor, and I didn't put anything other than to say, because I thought the wrong would have been righted by now. Even on the easement, the town can plant in its easement.
Oh, you're referring specifically to the portion that's within the town's easement. Oh, okay. That sounds like a different story. So this is an area of the land that the town could have planted trees when we did the tree planting project a couple years ago. Okay. Councilmember Kennedy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the neighbors in question did do some beautification, and they just wanted restitution for the amount they spent to make it look decent. But I do agree that the communication should be a lot better, or can be a lot better. And we definitely want people to feel comfortable coming up and having conversation and interaction with the town, instead of, if there's any perception out there, we need to put that behind us and move forward in a positive, better communication.
All right, sounds like we have a way forward. So we'll look forward to Any information for the property owner, council president can provide us, and then we'll look at what we can do in the town's easement. All right. Next, we'll move to the treasury report. Are there any questions for the treasurer's report this month? Council President Noble.
Yes. I don't know how long ago, is the treasurer on? That I had asked for, I guess for the town to see a 5-year projection. We did get an 18-month, and the mayor said that that was something that could be done. And I don't know how long it takes for the town to know its finances or projection going forward for the future of the town. 18 months, I think when the 18 months was done, we're probably 3 months out. So now we have 15 months. So how soon can we get a 5-year projection?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's drafted, Council President Noble. I need to add some footnotes, some explanations. There's a lot of assumptions with the forecast, so I need to add the narrative. I promise to have it to you by the 15th of the month. We've been full with year-end budget things and passing the fiscal year 27 budget. But yeah, it'll be out by the middle of the month.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the police department report. Any questions for that report this month? Council President Noble.
Yes. Chief, I brought this up before. In the entrance at the town, there are speed limit signs right at the entrance that say the entire town is 25, 25 miles per hour. However, within the town, it's nowhere within the town. So we have a lot of speeding cars going through the town. So if we could find other locations, if possible, to post those signs, because people are just driving, recklessly.
Yes, ma'am. We'll get them put up.
Just a moment. So you answered the question? Okay. Yes. Short and sweet. Okay. Chief, there was a request, if you could share the information about the Citizens Academy that's upcoming.
So I'm excited. The Citizens Academy starts tomorrow. It will run from June 2nd to the graduation will be August 15th at the Forest Heights Day. We will meet every Tuesday from 6 to 8. There will be in-house presenters, and then some out-house presenters will be meeting like out of the town, but we'll bring some great presenters in. We will also go over some stuff that will teach citizens why we do certain things, go over different topics, demographics, and everything like that to just bring people into the police world and understand why things happen the way they do and why we need certain information.
Councilmember Bronson.
Did I miss something, or we did not get a youth and community programming report?
Madam Clerk.
The youth engagement coordinator didn't have a report for this month. He said that they were doing budgeting and other things, so he didn't have a report for us this month.
Any further questions or comment on police report? Councilmember Hines.
We've been getting some people coming into the town that I don't know if the signs are up where people can see them, but they say that they don't see that, they can't solicit, So I just want to know, do we have signs up that said no soliciting in our town?
There's one on Seneca, but it's faint.
So is there any way that we can just kind of get some new ones or, make them noticeable?
Yes, ma'am. I'll look into it.
Thank you.
If you ever have someone who you notice knocking doors as well, you can let them know and then also alert the non-emergency number or the chief about someone knocking. It seems that sometimes they believe they have an exception for Forest Heights, or sometimes they think they're in Capitol Heights or some other city, but you're right, they cannot knock on doors soliciting services. All right, that concludes our department reports. Next, we'll move into legislation for action. And first, we have ordinance number 01-26, which is an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget and authorize its amendment by resolution. I move that we adopt ordinance number 01-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 01-26. Discussion. We've brought the ordinance before the council and the community several times so far. At this point, there was something that came up in the discussion today that it seems would be in the town's interest to consider adding to the budget, or at least finding the correct line item. There was the conversation around the lawn mowing program or some kind of dedicated funding. And I heard the beautification grant brought up. The issue is the beautification grant will run out at the end of the fiscal year. So it seems prudent for the council to consider selecting or adding funding or selecting funding in the budget from a line item that will maintain or be available for the entirety of FY 27. So to our treasurer, is there a line we have currently that fits within the mission of a lawn care program that will service seniors or individuals who are on a list that are not able to mow their own lawns, where we could allocate funding?
Mayor, do we want to piggyback on the town's lawn contract and say, hey, here's our list of eligible properties to include for that service? That would be my first recommendation. I'll give you a line number here in a moment, but piggyback on the town's contract. I think it comes up for renewal in the spring. And Mr. Jackson, please fill in what I'm missing here.
It
But that
seems
would-
for what
Okay.
we're trying to accomplish, a similar line item may be appropriate to pull funding if we appropriate it there, but we would be working in partnership with the Greater Oxon Hill CDC to get volunteers or a separate group to handle these homes on the list.
I see.
While you're looking, I'll go to Councilmember Kennedy.
I need assistance on this one first. We cut grass into, because the weather's so crazy now, September, October. So even if we cut into October, I think several of us have a couple different people that might be willing to cut some of these yards at a nominal fee. Obviously, the first cut might be a little more because if it's that overgrown, they would have to get it under control. But you figuring if you do, let's just do simple math, $50 a cut times 2. So that's $100 a month. Okay. So let's say it goes into 5 months. That's 500 times 25 people, which is what I remember you stated. So that'd be 12,500. So that would be for all 25 residents of Forest Heights for up into October. So I don't think that's too much to ask.
Just real quickly, and I'll come to you, Councilmember Bronson. So we have the last half of the fiscal year. We also have the first half of the fiscal year, April, May, June of next year, which would be included in 27 as well. Councilmember Bronson.
I think I I don't have a problem with people getting their lawn cut, but I think I have a problem with the town cutting people's, you putting that in part of their budget to cut people's lawn, because then you're gonna have some people that are favored versus the other ones, the list may grow. And how do you make it fair to all residents other than a list that existed 2 or 3 years ago? So I think I have a problem with the whole process. It might be easier to contract this out to go back to District 8 and see what their list was, since they had already. I don't think that this is a business that the town should get involved in, because it's too many variables that we can't answer right now.
I'm curious what other council members think. Council President Noble.
Well, District 8, they didn't keep a list because their process is that somebody will always apply. You will always have to apply. And I don't know if that's where we coordinate the efforts with a not-for-profit to get it done, or like it's a subline or something, but there are seniors and just, I mean, disabled people. It's a reason why some things don't get done. So where we can help, I think we should.
You're talking about seniors. What's the age group for seniors? Do you use 55? Do you use 60? Do you do 75? So it's got to be criteria, you know?
Right. Well, that's why we're going to try to go with the list we already have, where that's been established, I think.
Well, we can always consider fleshing out some of the details and amending at a later time, or we can place an amount of funding there now and we can work out the programming details later. So there's two options. We can either defer all of the decision till later, or we can move a set amount of funding there now so it's in the budget, and then we can work out the programming by the beginning of the fiscal year. Just a moment. Yes, I'm going to come to you. So just ponder on that, if there's any guidance or any thought on one of those two directions. Councilmember McDonald.
I just had a clarifying question, I guess. So are we talking about this coming out of the general fund, or there's a grant that this will be coming out of, Mr. Frankenfield?
So the mayor's absolutely right. The beautification money runs out at the end of the fiscal year. There's a risk it's not available next year. So we should start from the assumption it's coming from the general fund. And if we're awarded the beautification money again, obviously this would fit, but there's no guarantees that that's on the table for next fiscal year.
So does that beautification grant allow for this project? In terms of seniors, because we have 424 seniors in the town of Forest Heights. So I guess when we're talking about all of the what this should look like to Council Brownson, what are the guardrails and things of that nature. So is this something that we're looking at in totality rather, or we're just saying we want to offer a service?
I would say under the current grant that we were awarded, the town was awarded for fiscal year 26. This would be an eligible activity. Again, that's awarded in the spring, so there's no grant dollars in hand. If you want to take on this proposition this evening, we should assume it's from the general fund.
So it is an eligible activity. However, we'd have to do it in what time frame do we have to do it if we were to entertain it?
So the current funding expires June 30 of 2026. So we have 30 days left for the funding that's in hand.
Okay.
The opportunity may present itself next year, but there's no guarantees that that the funds will be available next year.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, council, any thoughts on moving a set amount of funding tonight to work on programming later? Or do we want to do the funding allocation and the programming portion later?
I think we should, since
Are you on mute or off mute?
No, I'm speaking.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Since the money needs to be spent down, I do think that maybe we should go ahead and move the money and come up with a solution as far as how it will be programmed. It will be a very tricky situation because in all fairness, everyone, I don't know how we will make this a fair situation where everyone is eligible or who will be eligible. Like you said, the criteria for it, would they have to come sign out? But we could work out those things a little later. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. First come, first serve, have it out. This wouldn't be something that would go on like continuously, right? It would just be this
Well, here's what we can do.
one time.
Here's what we can do. We can determine a dollar amount that the town can fund, and then we can open up an application process, and then we can cap it off once we get a number of applications that meet the criteria. That'll keep us within the dollar amount we allocate, and it will make it open to other individuals who maybe are not currently on the list.
I have a question.
Councilmember McDonald.
If we're talking about doing all of this by June 30th,
This is not doing it by June 30th. What this is doing is setting aside funds from the general fund so that we can do it past June 30th. We may be awarded funds for beautification again to use in the next fiscal year. If so, we could be reimbursed for running the program, but we want to set aside, it sounds like, funding to do this, even if the grant is not renewed. So that gives us time flexibility to run it through the entire year. So any thoughts on what dollar amount we're looking at setting aside? Councilmember Kennedy.
No, you're good. You're talking about dollar amount for this fiscal year or in general?
This is for FY27.
Okay. I mean, we can put a minimum amount aside. We don't necessarily have to spend every penny of it. But like I said, based on the previous numbers that we were given based off of a list, that's what I based that 12.5 off of. Also keep in mind that part of that program, and I hate to just add stuff to it, is snow removal, because some of these seniors who are elderly, who cannot move the best when it's not icy, it's treacherous for them when there's ice out there. And most of us are getting older. And that last ice storm that we have, I think, was a reality check for a lot of us. So granted, we can't fund every single thing that pops up every single time, but I just want to put that out there also.
So based on the discussion we've heard so far, we need some guardrails, we need some planning, we need some estimation, and we also want to look at the total situation. So let's revisit this at a later time. We can we can come back with a recommendation for a number that's based on how many people we think we might serve and what program we're going to run.
question.
Yes, Councilmember McDonald.
Trying to get a consensus on who's interested in this for any allocating of funds outside of a grant. Because it's either the grant or it's general fund to cut seniors' grass. And also to perhaps consider snow removal as well. So this is something that just needs to be discussed. We can't just say, okay, well, how much money we're going to consider, and we don't even have really a plan in place.
Yes, that's why I just said we can defer the dollar amount until after we do some research on what the program would look like, how much money we may consider based on what we're going to provide. So we need to come back for this, is what it sounds like. We're not going to make a change tonight. Is that correct? Council?
Well, if you're asking.
So what do we do in the immediate term? So what would we do in the immediate term?
If we're talking, using funds that are available in the beautification grant. We look at what eligible activity that is, what it entails, because this is going to require reporting requirements. That's going to include this activity and how are we managing it. So if we can come up with something within 30 days, then you got to have time to execute what it is that we're talking about doing as far as this venture.
Well, it's today's June 1st. So it sounds like by the time we get to planning, then we'll have one cut in the fiscal year.
But grass.
Just one moment. I want to make sure, were you off of mute when you spoke just now? Okay.
I think that the beautification money that we got already, that's gonna end June 30th, allow for the grass cutting activity. So if we can just get the grass cut now with the current beautification money that expires in June, with the list that's already exists, and then we can go from there. That means we can do something in the immediate and plan for the future.
Councilmember McDonald.
I'd like to know what in the beautification grant allows for cutting of seniors' grass. If it's an eligible activity, I would like to know what the language is for that, just so I'm clear. Because if it's grass for beautification for the town, that's one thing. If it's an eligible activity that we can take advantage of for seniors, of course, but I just want to make sure we're in compliance. Just trying to get clarity. Thank you.
What I'd like to do is ask the TA, can you give us insight into the feasibility of getting something done in the month of June?
There's nothing in the grant language that provides for private property grass cutting. It's generally language for things that are of community usage. However, if you want to be more broad, and it does provide an opportunity for community or private residents to partake in cleanup and dispose of personal household items, like the event that we're doing on the 27th. I mean, there may be a way you can work it, but there's nothing in the language specifically that says private property grass cutting.
Okay.
Thank you.
So based on that, we can work in the month of June to come up with some guidelines for what a program could look like. And we can have discussion about how much we can allocate based on that. And then we can come back and look at approving that or setting aside some dollar amount in the budget in case we don't have a grant to pay for that. Councilmember Brownson.
So if we don't have a grant and someone asked about general fund, is there money in the general fund? And the general fund, we can put in our own stipulations and our own activities. Is that correct? Right. So we don't have to think about grant funding. We can think about general fund.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
But I'm talking about for now. We don't have to wait until the fiscal year to spend general funds now to get the grass cut, if that's what y'all want to do. Am I right?
Open question.
Yeah, I think we're going back and forth between fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. My recommendation was if you want to put money in the 27 budget, which is the legislation on the table, that we assume it's coming from the general fund. We assume there is no grant dollars.
Right.
And then we started talking about beautification money. Does it fit? We found out it doesn't really fit. So yes, if we decided to cut grass now, we could amend the 26 budget to to pay for that service for residents at whatever program description the town arrived at. So just to clarify, it's 26 and 27. We're having two different conversations
Exactly,
at the same
yes.
time.
So we can spend general fund money now for 26 and then get a program and stuff for 27. FY 27, if that's what council wants to do.
Is that a motion?
I don't know how to word it, but yeah, I would like to make a motion that we amend, but what? FY 26 budget / to include grass cutting.
Is there a second?
20,
We're gonna come to this. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend the FY 26 budget to include grass cutting discussion. We probably have the same question, but go ahead, Councilman Kennedy.
I would definitely specify that, because grass cutting and is, everybody's gonna say, oh, you got a budget for grass cutting, I want to jump on that. We might want to like narrow it down, specifying for seniors or what have you. I know some of the seniors have already paid out of pocket to cut it because it was just so overgrown. One of the best people that would know if there are any seniors that have not cut their grass would be our code enforcement officer. Him in conjunction with the list of who originally was on it. Then, of course, as Councilperson Brownson said, tweak that, look over it, and create some type of criteria, to get on the list.
Councilmember Hines, your motion was for FY 26. So this is for doing something now, correct?
yeah. Now, does it need to be tweaked?
I just want to ask if we have money to do that in an existing line item for FY 26.
Now, Mayor, I would plan, and I'll go back and look, but I would plan that if that's the will of the council, we're gonna amend the 26 budget to include X amount of dollars for the activity of senior grass cutting.
Did you want to ask Mr. Frankenfield that? Go ahead, Councilmember Hines.
Was the mic on? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I was asking, can you just kind of repeat what you're saying, but help me to understand what you just now said?
So the staff have the authority to spend through appropriations. I'm saying that your recommendation should include, we are going to amend the fiscal year 26 budget to appropriate an amount, the amount that the council arrives at. I heard 25 possible residents at $100 a month. To me, the amount would be 2,500. So you're right, your resolution is, I hereby request that we appropriate an additional $2,500 for the activity of cutting yards, and we amend the fiscal year 26 budget thereafter.
Go ahead, Councilmember Kennedy.
So based on that, if there were 25, initially that would be around 2,500. But the problem is, if the grass is overgrown, then nobody's going to want to cut it for like a small nominal fee. The first cut would be noticeably more, and then once it's under control, then we can probably, even if we got one, two, several people, to cut several lawns apiece, if they're guaranteed 2 cuts a month, then they would probably be willing to work with in certain parameters. But yeah, once it's past a certain amount, nobody's going to want to cut it for $40 or $50. You know, a little bit more, yes, but not. I've had a couple residents call me and told me that one person, I think, wanted to charge them $150 a piece, and that's absurd. I mean, unless you're literally in Forest Heights.
Councilmember McDonald.
So let me just state for the record, we have no program in place. We have nothing of how to go about this. We're brainstorming at the town meeting about how we're going to cut seniors' grant, which is not, to me, an appropriate way to decide how to move forward. So we could be laboring with this for the next hour or so because we don't have a plan in place. Thank you.
Council President Noble.
On that note, this is the town's work session, and here is where we should do the work. So when we listen to the residents, the citizens, their concerns for their neighbors and those who are in need, this is where we can right now commit to or not commit to amending the budget to appropriate for the end of this fiscal year to help someone who needs their grass cut so that we're not back here or some council members wanting to cite them for code violations. So we can't have it both ways. I'm making a
Point of
statement.
order, just one person speaking at a time, please.
Thank you. I'm making a statement. So this is where we do the work in the work session. So that's my last comment on that. Thank you.
Well, right now we have a motion on the floor to amend the budget for FY26 to add grass cutting. It was seconded. We are in discussion on that motion. There was a recommendation to make a specific dollar amount. Is there a wish of anyone to make an additional motion to make a dollar amount, or are we ready to end discussion and go to a vote on the motion? Okay. So discussion's over on the motion. Unless there's anything further. You have something, Councilmember Hines? If you hear you.
I was asking, we don't need to put a dollar amount right now so that everyone is on the same page.
Well, it was recommended by the treasurer that a dollar amount is specifically named now. And there is a recommendation of $2,500. Councilmember Kennedy.
Actually, that's a ideal amount if all the yards were already kept up. Council President, okay. So there's suggestion just to say not to exceed 5,000. I don't think it should reach anywhere close to that since it's just if we were able to get this started like immediately, there'd be 2 cuts this month. You know, even if it rains a lot, you can always put them on a schedule to get cut twice a month. But yeah, not to exceed 5,000, which I hope would get nowhere close to that.
Was there a comment, Mr. Jackson?
I was just trying to confirm who's cutting the grass? Is it Public Works or is it?
We can there's 2 people that will cut grass. We can always give you their numbers and then we can coordinate something. And I'm sure there's plenty of others. It would be great if the kids in the community would cut grass like what we used to.
I would just,
Mr. Jackson?
It just wanted to just put it, it may not go as fast as we want it because I would like the town attorney to also think about some legal considerations for these people that we have going into people's yards, cutting grass, and the implications for the town.
Okay. The motion's still on the floor. We can call for the motion or we can decide to go a different way. Councilmember Hines, what would you like to do? Mr. Frankenfield.
The only comment I had, Mayor, was do you want to offer a reimbursement program where the homeowner contracts with the vendor and the town reimburses them? And that would hopefully take some of the liability off the town.
Well, it seems based on the number of options that we presented and want to consider, it seems like we need some more time to flesh this out. And we also have a short period of time when we can use the grant funding. It's looking like we're coming to a point where we're going to have very short period of time and not a lot of guidance for the staff to execute this effectively. If we give ourselves some time to develop the program, then we'll be able to execute it well. We're thought about legal considerations, who's going to do the work, and we'll be able to roll it out and do it consistently. And we'll have a dollar amount that's backed by some of the contingencies that we brought up today. It would be nice to start this tomorrow. However, we want to make sure that once we begin, we've taken into consideration a program that will run well for the staff to execute and then for the residents who will receive it to depend upon, understand, and feel like the process was fair and considered. Council President Noble.
And just want to note, we don't know if District 8 will bring their program back. And also they did offer to not help, but we could look at their program, what they did to
We could look at modeling their program.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Brownson.
So I stepped away for a moment. So what was decision that was made that we're going to do something in the current budget to take care of the residents for the month of June and then tweak our program for fiscal year 27, but put a line item in the new budget?
What we just discussed is that we would like to do something in June, but based on where we are, it's not going to be feasible to execute it well. We need to look into some of the liabilities. And then we also need to figure out who is going to do it reliably and a process so that the staff can execute that so the staff can execute it well. Those things are not going to happen based on our conversation before the end of the month. So we're looking at coming back with more information to create a line item and a dollar amount and a program description so we can roll it out to the community once and do it well.
That probably in the grass season.
Okay. And we've got a model of District 8's program to look at, but we need some time to do that. We can't decide all of it tonight based on our discussion.
So
Councilmember Brownson.
when we hired the contractor to do the gathering space and the other areas, and there were some other RFPs that was submitted. So you have something to start with if you can take that money and whatever money you have and apply, offer it to some of those contractors that submitted for that particular activity. So it's not like we got to go through the phone book looking for people. You have some people that already applied to cut grass in the town before.
Noted. Thank you. Are there any other items of discussion for ordinance number 01-26? Council President Noble.
I know when the finance committee met, we had some concerns about some things in the budget. And I looked at the last budget that was given to me and I did ask if we could kind of date these. I have 10,000 drafts, but that some of those things remain. One on the internship, and how do we offer that to the youth in the town of Forest Heights? What's the program for that? As well as, what was the other thing? Oh God, I have to look at my notes, but that was one thing in particular. So, and I see that it's still there for $10,000. So has that been modified, or is it specifically for one internship?
Well, on the internship program, we did have discussion last meeting. There was a position outline that was developed by the town administrator. And also, we discussed the fact that the internship does not only have to be for the summer, it can be used potentially throughout the year. And so Mr. Jackson will forward, I believe Councilmember Little already has the draft, and the outline of that role will be forwarded. And we're looking at a way to, same with the grass cutting program, to consider a process whereby we can consider individuals to apply for the internship. Councilmember Little?
So I guess what's trying to be asked is, will it initially just go to one specific person, or will there be like not internship, interview process with different candidates in the town to see who best qualifies for this position?
Yes, there'll be a process to allow people to apply for the internship. Who else was next? Councilmember Hines?
Thank you. You said that it'll be, so like the summer program that's going on, I mean, they're getting paid by the county or whoever's,
Which summer program?
right, but okay, so this one, the $10,000,
Mhm.
are you gonna have uh, uh, maybe 4 or 5, because $10,000, can, go a long way is what I'm saying. So it's not just for a couple, you're talking about for the rest of the summer and even, right?
This is proposed as an internship program for one position. However, the funding could be used not only in the summer. There's an outline that the town administrator has developed that suggests an hourly rate. It'll be opened up to those who apply for the position. It's separate from, it sounds like there was another program we were talking about. This is not a program that exists currently. It's not up and running. It's not anyone who's worked for the town in the past or anything like that. This is a new program. And so it could be open to someone to work during the summer time, but as we're getting near the end of the fiscal year, like we mentioned with the grass cutting, there may be other times in the year where there's an opportunity for the intern to work. Council President Noble.
So on that, have we extended applications or process to the youth within the town, or
No, the
because
process hasn't kicked off because the budget's not final yet. So
because and because someone said that they had been offered the internship, so that's why. And my thought was, well, the budget hasn't been approved, so I guess it's just maybe that person doesn't understand what they were offered. So that's what I'm trying to understand here.
they do. They do. And to the position will be open for multiple individuals to apply. They understand that. They're aware of that. And the funding has not been approved yet because the budget hasn't been voted on. So this is all happens in the appropriate steps. First step is the budget. Once that's done, then we can go through an application process and we'll go through the rest of the steps. Any other discussion? Councilmember Brownson.
Something specific. I see that. But I have several questions about the budget. One of them is on page, and I'm starting from the back. One of them is on page 43. And it's for Maryland Government Bill 9015.23. We got $350,000. And I looked at the definition for that, and it says Public Safety Center. 40 through 43. And it says $350,000. This is a new line item. And it has Public Safety Center. So first of all, can you explain what is the bond bill $350,000? And then secondly, what is the Public Safety Center?
So the town received a bond several years ago through the state of Maryland for funding related to the Public Safety Center, either its improvement, its demolition, or its improvement for construction. And at the last meeting, we accepted a bond that's related to that. When that project was applied for, when that bond was applied for, it was under the title Public Safety Center. Bond bills where the state allocates funding to a project that's been defined by a municipality or another public entity. It's money they're giving us to do what is outlined specifically in the bond related to that Public Safety Center site. No. No, bond bill works this way. This is how it works. They set money aside in the budget for that year. It's almost like there's cash set aside. You fill out the forms, you pass the legislation, and then you can draw down on the funding based on the state's process. I'm not going to speak. The award came in the FY23 budget, and we passed legislation at the last meeting to accept and to go along with the process where we can draw down on the funding. Well, we did the legislation at the last meeting, so no legislation to draw down was done prior to that. That's one of the reasons why we did the legislation.
And you moving from, you got FY26 and FY27, the same amount. So what does that mean, that you're moving it from 26 to 27?
I'll go to the treasurer. Mr. Frankenfield, could you provide some insight on that?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear. I don't think the microphone's on.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
The second line item there, $200,000 bond bill, and it has the same amount for 26 and 27. What does that mean?
We didn't utilize any funding in the current fiscal year, so it's going to carry over to next year.
Okay, so right now we have $550,000 bond bill for the Public Safety Center.
That's correct.
And that Public Safety Center is the Star Cleaners?
That's my understanding, and Mr. Jackson can confirm.
Is that what that is?
It was originally slated for the Star Cleaners, yes.
They're originally slated. What does that mean?
The bond bill was written for the Star Cleaners, yes.
Oh, okay. So we had this money all along. Why haven't we done something? Okay, so I have some more questions. Okay, so okay.
Councilmember McDonald.
So the state legislature bond initiatives in Maryland remain valid for 2 years for local projects to meet matching fund requirements and up to 7 years to fully spend the authorized funds. So we've had it since when, 2023? Is that what we're saying, Mr. Frankenfield?
Yes, I believe so.
So we've had it since 2023. What projects, if any, at the local level that we have spent or drawn down these funds for?
We haven't utilized the funding. It's been in the budget untouched.
So the matching fund requirements, when does that kick in? Does that kick in? Does that
I'm-
kick in after we start drawing down the funds, or is there a matching fund requirement?
I'd have to read the agreements. I'm not certain on if there is a required match.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Brownson, for bringing it up.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jackson.
The state hasn't required any matching funds since COVID, since 2020.
Since COVID, or is it?
The state bond bill, the legislative bond initiative through the state is designed to have matching funds, but the state suspended matching funds since 2020.
Okay, so back on that question then, if it's required to draw down, which, let's see, 2 to 3 years or something you said?
For local projects, yes.
Yeah, so that means we passed the deadline for drawing down money, right?
Let's try something
No.
different. Just a moment. Let's try something different because we're going in circles. This is not something we have to decide tonight. The legislation for the bond bill was passed at our last meeting. We have access to draw down on the funds. We don't have any matching requirement, and we have up to 7 years from the time that the bond initiative was awarded. So we can work through this through strategic planning, and we can find out what's the best use of the funds. The bond bill opens up the possibility for construction or demolition or different types of work, depending on what needs to happen with the site.
Mayor, may I ask just one question, please? Can we as a town identify what the projects are going to be? If we have up to 7 years from 2023? Can we identify what those projects are and what it entails? Are you saying it's construction? What else was it, Mayor Lily?
There's a number of items. I'm not looking at it in front of me. We got a copy. It was on the agenda. We passed it last meeting. So we have the record and the information that we need.
Huh.
And we should revisit this. However, the task at hand is any adjustments or discussion on the ordinance for 01-26. And thank you for bringing up the fact that we were awarded the bond bills.
Well, I think by going, the questions come, well, the resolution at hand deals with the supplement budget book, and that's what we're going through now. So I do think it's valid. And if we had an opportunity to go through it line by line, a lot of things that we don't understand could have been answered. Also, I have another question on page 23.
Please proceed.
Under the authorized proposed staffing table, it has a strategic planning and program coordinator, and it has filled. That position has been filled. I didn't know we had one, and
No, we don't. The budget hasn't been passed yet, so no.
but you've got to hit Phil. What are you doing? I mean, sorry. You saying that all this gonna happen when the budget get passed, but you're saying it like it's already happened. So,
Did I say that? Who said that?
you said something when you're talking about the ambassador, what is the youth coordinator or whatever, that $10,000 position. You said you got a process for it, but you can't move forward because it hadn't been passed. But this says.
Is that not the way it should work?
I'm sorry?
I said, is that not the way it should work?
Well, no, these are just proposals that person is putting in the budget.
Okay.
But in actuality, it says the town administrator, Phil, we know that's true.
Okay.
So
Councilmember Brownson.
about strategic planning and program coordinator, Phil.
Let's try something different. Is there a proposal to move money to a line item or to increase or decrease a line item that you have in your list of questions?
No, it might be once I get to that. I was just going backwards to all of my
Mhm.
questions I had about the budget book.
Okay.
So my question was strategic planning and program coordinator. It says this position is filled. Has it been filled, and do we have a strategic planning and program coordinator is the question.
No.
Okay. And that position is rounded up into the amount of payroll. So that's why that was questioned.
Okay.
And I had another question. And I see that the questions are not being answered correctly, so I don't know how to make any judgment out of what the questions I'm asking to get some changes. You can go on to someone else while I'm looking for my other questions.
Were there any other questions or discussion? Council President Noble.
I had I guess, concern as to the budgeted amount for fuel for both the public works and public safety, because we know at this time fuel is going up. So is that a reasonable amount? Because public works, what's budgeted is $10,000. And I see the vehicles riding around the town all the time. So I don't know if $10,000 is reasonable or at the rate that gas is now, even for the police department.
Chief or Mr. Jackson, whoever wants to answer that. Or Mr. Frankenfield. Go ahead.
And Council President Noble, we do our best to appropriate the proper amounts in the event that the fuel costs are in excess of our forecast at the beginning of the year. We'll reappropriate additional funds. So based on the info we have right now, it's our best estimate. Obviously, things can change and we'll come back with amendments if we're going to overshoot those line items.
Council President Noble.
And I just want to piggyback on that for the future, I guess, and I can speak, and I'm just saying for public works that maybe we should reduce the usage, not 3 trucks in one place at one time when 3 people could come in one vehicle. I mean, those little things make a difference about spending. Then the police, I can't say about them.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, I have a question on page 19, authorized proposed staffing table for public safety. And it has sworn full-time, 3 proposed. And I remember when Chief Ruffin, you sent in for the proposed 3 full-time sworn officers to include, you had a salary of $50,000 in that. So, and I know that this, my question is this amount that you have in here for public safety salaries for the new, include the 3 sworn officers that you want to hire? And if so, at what rate? And do we have a new pay scale for the proposed cost of living increase for everyone?
I'm gonna try to answer one of them at a time.
Mhm.
The salaries are included for the 3 officers. The proposed salaries for the 3 officers are included in there. And then what was the next one?
I remember when you sent the proposal, you had it listed at for $50,000 for each.
Yes.
So has that changed?
It increased a little bit as the PO rate. So that way that we can be able to recruit other officers to make sure that we're able to, I guess, match what other agencies are given at this time.
So do we have a new pay scale for?
No, this is based off of the pay scale that was approved by council.
Some time ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question to maybe in reference to this, Mr. Frankenfield, is if there's a cost of living increase for everyone, do we need to authorize a new pay scale? I think I remember you saying that by approving the budget, we automatically authorizing the new pay scale.
So I believe, and Mr. Jackson and the chief can confirm what I believe, but I think, so our pay scale is designed with grades and steps. So we're simply, with giving people what we're framing as a COLA, it's they're actually getting the next step. We're not changing the pay scale. We're not increasing the rates by staff based on their grade and step. We're just giving them the next step.
Okay, so an example of, I thought I saw that for the public works supervisor, he's at the step 10 already. So there's not another step to go to under the pay scale, but you're giving him a cost of living increase here. So the pay scale, I mean, it just, that analogy just doesn't work.
Mr. Jackson, do you have any feedback?
Were the Councilmember Brownson, were the steps in the next logical increase would come from the grade? They would then move from step to grade. If you max out in step, if there's an opportunity for someone to move through grade, then they would move through grade.
I know, I know. So you're gonna change his grade, which has to be, that's bizarre. That seems like that should have to come through council for approval.
Well, it's interesting because you just said a moment ago that Mr. Frankenfield said when we approve the budget that we are setting the pay for all the staff and individuals. For COLA, it's increased for cost of living. Cost of living goes up by a percentage. This year's cost of living increase is 3%.
Right, but for this one.
And so,
and the step
and
one-
I'll let you finish in a moment. And so we've increased the pay of the officers and the other staff members by 3%.
Except for, the example I gave when it came to public works supervisor, his pay, his COLA is not into in his step because he's already at a step 10. So you have to, what he's saying is got to move him to another grade.
I don't know if I heard him say you have to.
That's what just.
I heard Mr. Jackson say that they look at a grade or a step, but we as a council, to your point, do need to approve it. We're approving it as part of the budget, a 3% increase from current salaries for all individuals in the town who are staff members. Okay, we've had healthy discussion on the budget. I'll go to Council President Noble.
Thank you. I know one recommendation that I made as far as auditing, that we allow for additional auditing, credit card, bank auditing, something other than the regular audit expenses. So I know that wasn't included in this. And then I also noticed that the newsletter expense is $4,000 and the copier went up 10,000 to 40,000. So LPI is still printing. So what's the additional 10,000 on the copier? Yeah, well, that too, yeah. And a 4,000 for the newsletter. I'm trying to figure out what is it for?
I'll go to Mr. Jackson on that.
So we currently use direct mail through the post office, and that incurs a monthly cost. No, well, 400. It's roughly 400 a month. And what was your question about the copier?
It went up by $10,000.
Oh, okay. So we try to guesstimate how much we're going to incur. We're trying to find ways to reduce our copy fingerprint, and we have done that by going to LPI. But we still incur costs through every color paper, do every color copy that we make because we have inserts all the time. So we're just trying to forecast how much money we need for the year.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion on the floor to adopt ordinance number 01-26. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just inquiring about whether or not the motion to amend the FY 26 budget is being withdrawn.
This was on grass cutting by the end of June.
Yes.
Councilmember Hines?
Yes, can I make a motion to what? Revisit it? Or take the motion off
To withdraw?
yes.
Yes,
Well,
thank
you can actually withdraw without, you don't have to get a vote. You can just, if you say you withdraw, you can withdraw the motion.
I'd like to withdraw the motion.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
This is for what?
This is to adopt ordinance number 01-26 for the FY 27 budget.
The budgets.
Councilmember Hines,
No.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
No.
Councilmember Little,
No.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Council President Noble,
No.
Mayor Lilly,
Yes.
3 yeses, 4 noes, the motion fails.
What does council wish to do in regards to the budget? Is there any suggestion, any options on the table? Because we'll need a budget ordinance adopted by the end of the fiscal year, or the prior year's budget goes into effect. Oh, I don't see it up. Councilor Rhines, do you have something? Okay. Council President, did you have something?
I think, because this is a legal document and there were, considerations that weren't acknowledged or that for me, we need to have a full understanding or get back to where we started in the finance committee meeting, to, include additional line items as reference to the audits, just the spending. We need to get back to that. And then, I think we can get there, but we just can't get there because the way this is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Noble. Yeah, I'm curious as to what that means, because we tonight even have offered an opportunity, if a motion is made to increase a line, to add a line, that can be considered. We can vote on motions. I didn't hear any motions tonight to make any changes to the budget, with the exception of Councilmember Hines asking to add a line for spending for grass cutting for FY 26. And the other thing is the committee met, had healthy discussion, but in order for that to become a line in the budget, there needs to be a motion that is seconded and that is voted in favor by at least 4 members of the council. I may have missed it. I didn't see that happen. Who's gonna go next? I saw your hand first, Council President.
I think what is missing, those things did happen, and I guess because I guess last meeting, it was stated that the Finance Committee and Ways and Means Committee went line for line on the budget, and we did not. We looked at specific things because we thought that this would be presented where the town would engage. And according to the charter, the council sets the date for the budget hearing. So we had a town or some people in the town who didn't get access to the budget for their input. The hearing was incorporated into the town meeting and not a separate hearing. So it was a lot of things that didn't happen that should have happened that we could have been here at a better place now. So no motion was made because it's just too much. And I'm these recommendations, I'm saying them, but if no one's engaging in them, so what do we do? Thank you.
Well, if there's a motion made, we can vote on it. And we had a budget hearing last meeting, and it was interesting that certain members were not here at the budget hearing. And we followed exactly what the charter says. The charter doesn't specify a time. It doesn't specify anything. It specifies that it must happen a certain number of days before. It must be advertised. It was. And we had residents that spoke, asked questions about the budget, which we answered if we could. And so the question is this really about the budget being inadequate or the process not being followed, or is it about something else? Because we pointed out that the proposed budget, which is proposed and can have changes made to it, outlines additional funding for our fund balance. It's got additional funding allocated for road improvements and for the town's priorities. However, council does have the ability to change some of those. So if there's a motion presented to increase the line or decrease the line, if 4 people vote in favor, that change happens. I didn't hear a motion made besides the one that Councilmember Hines made. And, to your point, Council President, if you believe a line should be changed, you make the motion and we'll consider it.
On that note, I made those recommendations when we were in the proposed part that I didn't need to make a motion. When we're in the proposed budget, we're not in an actual budget, then all those things we could have seen those recommendations, never saw those recommendations. And again, when we want to talk about the charter says that the council sets the date of the budget hearing. So if we're going to follow the charter, we can't pick what we just want to do it right and do it fair for the residents in the town of Forest Heights.
Well, we disagree on several of those issues, but we don't have to agree on everything, which is good. Councilmember Little.
Why have my hand up? But he called you, go ahead.
It's more of a statement. You asked why you feel like it didn't pass. I feel like it was a lack of transparency and questions that were asked weren't answered properly. As far as like vacancies, you saying how the position is supposed to be a proposed position, but then it's saying it's filled. So it's like contradicting itself a lot. I also have documentation for the internship being for one specific person. I do think that that person would be a good fit. However, I feel like it should be open. And I felt like I was just told, yes, it'll be open, but I have, conversations and documentation that is already meant for one person to fill this role. So I felt like this was a shaky situation and things weren't clear and concise for me.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. On the internship program, I'm the mayor. I'm stating that it will go to an application process. And it's not going to be directed to one person. And so that's there. But any other questions? This is for us to discuss and to talk through. This is not to be a closed process. It has not been a closed process. However, if there's a motion on the floor that comes before us, I'll call it. We'll count the votes. And Robert's Rules of Order says when we make decisions as a council, we do need to have more than one person state it and introduce it and get on the record who's behind making the change. We can do that tonight or we can do it another night. But if we don't do it and get an ordinance passed before June 30th, the prior year's budget is going to go into effect as is. And it's my belief, listening to the members of the council and especially to the members of the community, that that is not the result that they want. And the result that they want is also not for us to not show up when the discussion is happening. That's not what they want. They want us to come and talk about it and present it. We don't always agree, but we need to work to get to a consensus by convincing people and getting 4 people to vote in favor of what we propose. Councilmember Brownson.
So you asked the question, what went wrong? And I go back to our Ways and Means and Finance Committee. We had a spirit discussion. We brought some suggestions and you asked the treasurer. He said, well, they were just suggestions and you kind of like dismiss what the suggestions that we offered. So especially when it comes to me, it seems as though no matter what I ask, what I say, you just, okay, yeah, let's move on. So I feel like for me, my questions are not being answered. The comments I make are just being brushed aside. And you don't expect for me to vote for something that I can't get any input or feedback on, or you get any suggestions to the council about. So no, it wasn't a fair process. It wasn't done correctly. We didn't go by this line by items. The suggestions that we made from the committees weren't inputted into the draft. That's what we were looking for the suggestions to be inputted into the draft. This is just a draft. And none of the suggestions that we made changed from the first time this was done to the last time.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember. I disagree that the process was not fair, but we don't have to agree on that. For the committee meetings and the discussions that happen at the committee meetings to go into the budget, there needs to be a discussion of the council to do that. I'm not saying I disagree with what the suggestions were. I also want to bring up that it sounds like you felt dismissed when the suggestions were mentioned. Now, I can't speak to that, but I can understand how you feel that way. The other item is, if you make a comment during a meeting, in order for it to be a decision, we need to have a vote, especially if it's a substantive decision. And so the way that Councilmember Hines made a motion today, we were going to consider it. We ended up withdrawing it, but make a motion, we'll consider it. We get a vote behind it, the change can happen.
Be missing the process because I thought this was a draft working budget. So you don't need to make a motion to change something in the draft.
Well, if less than the council is making the decision to put something in, then yes, because it would make its way into the final proposed budget.
Before we get the original budget, you went to each department for their suggestions. And then we went to committee for their suggestions. Each department's suggestions is in here, but not the committee suggestions.
And that is because in the budget process that's outlined in the charter, the mayor and the town and the treasurer develop a budget and deliver it to the council. And then the changes are made by the council. And any changes, any votes that happen require a quorum of members to support the change. Well,
Right. That's the problem.
I'm going to say one last thing, then I'll turn to Councilmember Kennedy. When we brought the first version of the budget We had an open discussion. We had an opportunity for an open discussion to be had. And at that time, I asked specifically you if you had any suggestions, and you said that the staff had them. You said that you had asked the staff to bring them. You said you didn't have your notes with you at the time.
Say that, we've made suggestions to each department from our meeting, yes.
Okay. But you didn't have your notes to share with us of what you thought should be changed to make a motion at the time? Okay. Councilmember Kennedy.
From what I'm hearing, not just tonight, I think it's the will of the council to go through this line item by line item. Whether or not anything's changed is yet to be seen, but that's how we've done it in the past. I think that's what we've all gotten accustomed to doing. Even this layout is different, so I think that would make it a little harder to do, because in the past we had pretty much like an Excel spreadsheet with all the numbers broken down and then by department. So I guess instead of us killing a dead horse, so is it the will of the elected body to have a special meeting so we can go through the line items? Because this obviously is not getting passed tonight. But it does have to get passed. A budget has to get passed. Yes, it does. You don't like some of the things in the old one, so.
All right, just one person speaking at a time, please.
Yeah, so my point is that the will of the body to have a special meeting so we can go over this line item by line item instead of us spending the next 2 hours going back and forth, spinning wheels?
Is there any discussion or any comment or thought on that? Well, I'm hearing silence now. So if it's not to have a special meeting, we do have a meeting this month where there will be another opportunity to discuss if that's what the council wishes to do. If we do so, that'll need to be an emergency ordinance so it goes into effect before the end of the fiscal year. Council President Noble.
Can I make a suggestion? And I don't know if this is workable, that, those that have issue with certain things, if maybe we can send a memo or email to the treasurer and the town administrator and see how the proposed budget can be, how that our suggestions can be accommodated or not. Because if or not, then we may be back at the same place. So at least there's some consideration, so enough time before the next meeting to possibly send those things to I don't know. That's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to block changes to this budget. This is a town budget. We make this together. We just need to follow a process whereby we can track the changes and that it was a collective of the council that decided to go in that direction. If that's a process that works, we can do that. We can come back to the next meeting. We'll just need to make sure it's an emergency ordinance. It'll need to be passed that night. It'll go into effect that night so that we meet the deadline and we don't have a budget that is just a rehash of last year, which doesn't meet the challenges and the projections we know are coming for the upcoming year. So if someone wants to offer a motion for that, we can move forward.
Because I am in agreement with that. So I would like to offer a motion that we all send in emails to Mr. Frankenstein Field as well as Mr. Jackson with our suggestions and opinions on what we would like to see being changed in the new budget, and come back again next meeting on the 17th to vote on it
Yes.
with those changes that are presented in the emails from each council.
Is there a second? I'm going to go to discussion after the second. We need to go.
Well, second.
Second. Okay. Discussion. It's been motioned and seconded that we make changes to the budget directly to the treasurer for presentation at the June 17th meeting. Discussion.
I was just going to suggest to not start the meeting on time, start a little early, so that way in case some things didn't get received and modified, because I can tell you I want underwater basket weaving classes don't mean they should be get in there. So I think we should have still have like a little bit of a hearing before the meeting, so that way we can try and iron out anything that wasn't ironed out.
Council President.
Bless you. I'm sorry. Yes. I think, and this may be amendment to her motion, because I know with Mr. Frankenfield, sometimes he doesn't move forward unless the mayor says so. So I think we need the mayor to say so now, so Mr. Frankenfield will move forward and we don't have any delays.
Well, just a moment. I disagree with that characterization, and it's already established in the motion. It's already established in the motion that council can send their suggestions in. I don't block that. I never would do that.
Yeah, I'm saying Mr. Frankenfield may need to get permission for transparency from the mayor before he proposes it or puts it in the budget. That's the point I'm making. And I have enough emails to back up that comment. Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second, there's discussion. Last thing I'll notate is any emails that happen to be less than a quorum cannot go to the entire council to obey Open Meetings Act requirements. And so it would be better if it's individual, no one else, no other members, or no more than a committee on the email chain, which means don't include me. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. We're in the vote. You didn't hear the motion, Madam Council Member? Yeah, it's a motion. That'll be handled separately. You're voting to have council send some suggestions for changes to go into the proposed budget that will come back on June 17th for vote as an emergency ordinance. All right. What we're voting at this point, so we have to move forward. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none, the ayes have it. Mr. Frankenfield.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk process with the group. Let's assume all comments need to be in by June 11th, so we have time to update the legislation accordingly. What should be the tiebreaker process? So if we have the opinion of one council member, does that change the budget? Does it take two? How do we get to a consensus by email if the group's not on it?
Council President.
I think for the finance committee, since there are 3 members, we could email directly to the chair and copy you and Mr. Jackson.
That's fine. Or I suggest I'll send out an email tomorrow at some time, and then we'll start this conversation. Your honorary? No. No? Yeah.
Separate group.
I think with the email chain, as long as you don't have a quorum on it, you can send it, but just send straight to.
Okay.
I don't have any significant.
If you could, Mike.
It's on. I don't have any significant, I guess, changes to the budget. So I don't know what else I need to contribute. because I don't have any real issues. There are things in there that could be resolved that should not hold up the budget or vote on the budget for me. So I don't have anything else to contribute to the conversation. Thank you.
All right. So we've set a process out to handle the budget for FY '27, and we'll move on to the next item of legislation. It's Resolution 41-26, a resolution of the Town of Forest Heights approving public use and trail maintenance easement and public utility agreement, including a fee for non-exclusive use of municipal land for the National View development, and generally relating an easement and shared use of an undeveloped public way owned by the town. I move that we adopt Resolution 41-26. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 41-26. Discussion. Resolution 41-26 is a public use and trail maintenance easement related to the National View Project, which is 20 acres of land on the west side of town, southwest side of town, back in Cree Drive. And this agreement has been under discussion for a number of years. I just want to state, so everyone is clear, including those at home, the pedestrian path would run at the end, the dead end of Seneca Drive, up to the development and back to the town. The reason this agreement took so long to discuss is because we had to negotiate with the developer in order to, one, increase the annual user fee that the town has paid, although in these agreements, there's not normally a fee associated. And we wanted to do that because we need to provide for safety. And we also, as we heard in public comment tonight, have some concerns around individual homeowners who could be affected. Secondly, outside of dollar amounts, we asked the developer to come up with pedestrian improvements, because currently, if the trail site was built, people walking from the development and to the development would be walking in the street with cars. At one of our recent meetings, they proposed a plan where they would build additional pedestrian infrastructure to separate lanes for people walking, biking, and then to complete a portion of sidewalk at North Huron Drive and Seneca Drive, so that someone walking along Seneca in this new pedestrian cutout could then step directly onto a completed sidewalk, walk all the way to Bel Acres Park, to Forest Heights Elementary, or to the Oxon Hill Cove and Trail. This agreement is outlined with input from the council, long negotiations to get to something that will help us to address the change that's coming, that has positive impacts, but we know will also have impacts on residents that we want to account for. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 41-26? Council President Noble.
Yes. Some residents at Cree and Seneca, their concerns are, one, just for now, even with WSSC, it's just a madhouse trying to get back and forth, especially for walkers. So with this construction, we're going to get into another place with residents. They'll be able to access, but I don't know how safe it will be during the construction. And the other part, some of those residents also, when National View was, not National View, who was it? Petra? Yeah, when they were here and the residents got an opportunity to engage, it was a good thing. So we have to keep people engaged. So I don't know. I mean, it's trail maintenance easement. I just have concerns with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. I share your concerns. I know the council members do as well. We know the folks who live near Crew Drive and Seneca will be more affected than the rest of the residents in the town. And this agreement is only one part of the process we'd like to put in place. Chief Ruffin and I met, and he has reached out to, he's had discussions with some of the other law enforcement that can help us to enforce the traffic management and safety of the area that will be under construction. He's already started those conversations. So we'll have additional manpower from the county, including not just police, but also some of their parking management enforcement that will help us to keep folks engaged and have a plan that can address some of the concerns that we know are going to come. So thank you for those comments. Councilmember Brownson.
I asked the question when they were here and doing the presentation, and just doing Seneca Drive, the sidewalk, all that traffic coming down Seneca Drive, and he's gonna cut the sidewalk right at North Paran. So we're still gonna have the same problem with people having to be walking in the street. And I think that's a problem. He said, well, we can't afford to pave the whole street. Why not? I think this disagreement is just not fair to the residents of Forest Heights and people that have to go up and down Seneca Drive all the time, walking, biking, and don't need to be in the middle of the street with all that traffic. And this is, I think, a bad agreement. And I also have a question about on page 40-20, no, I'm sorry. The second page, the third whereas, I'm trying to figure out, will the $10,000 that they're proposing, will it start when the agreement is signed or when they finish the easement?
That's a good question for Mr. Deloach. I'll let you
believe
ask the
that
question
is
to Ms. Deloach.
Payment that's going to be more immediate.
It'll
I
start
think
when-
the agreement says
the-
when it's going to be paid. Does it say July 1st?
Of each year after the effective date. After effective, what's the effective date of the agreement?
When we sign.
What,
Really, because you got a lot of people need to sign it. Microphone. I have my microphone on.
Go ahead, Mr. Councilmember Kennedy.
In my opinion, and I mean, the town attorney would actually be the best one to answer this, but on page 2, the third whereas actually states annual user fee of 10,000 payable on July 1st of each year after the effective date of the agreement, which shall increase by 10% every 5 years from the date of the initial fee payment.
All right, so what's the effective date of the agreement is the
the
question.
effective date when it's fully executed, which would be almost immediately. It will be done before July 1st. If it's approved tonight, the mayor would sign and then the contractor would sign it immediately. So that $10,000 should be paid on July 1st.
Also, I think I asked in addition to that, I asked the National View guy that this process has changed several times since it was initially. I remember initially they gave the town $50,000. Then another agreement was written and they gave them $20,000. Then it changed hands again because we originally was going to have single family residents. And so he said, the gentleman that presented said, after this is signed, then they're gonna the property will go for sale and somebody else will be the owners. So I'm trying to figure out, as things change, we always get left behind on what the town needs. And when we sign these agreements and don't get what we need, the next buyer gonna come up with, we're not gonna get anything. Because we signed the 5-year agreement to have the blight property that was to obey types. Yeah. Yeah, a tax abatement, yeah. So we always giving away stuff and if we can't get a sidewalk down Seneca Drive, whatever, that's no deal for me.
Thank you, Councilmember Bronson. The way that this works is the site and what's going to go on the site is set. It won't be single family homes. But you raise a good point, which is we need to fight for more things for the town. And this agreement presented a great opportunity for us to do that. When we started discussions on this agreement, there was nothing in place. There wasn't a dollar amount originally. We added one, we got it increased times 10. And we did take a request to the developer, which we let sit with them for quite a while, an option to add additional pedestrian infrastructure or to pay a much larger fee. And we left it with them. And they came back with extending the pedestrian infrastructure out. Now, I agree with you that we do need to expand sidewalks in several locations. Seneca is one of the most heavily traveled by cars. And so we'll need to look at revenue that comes from this project to earmark specifically for that purpose or other funds that we get before then. In the budget, we are creating cash that's not being used for current expenses. We do that this fiscal year and another fiscal year, then we start to have a pool of funding to pull from where we can do the sidewalks where we want them, how we want them for the residents who serve us. And each additional thing we have that's not outlined in that pre-annexation agreement provides an opportunity for us to gain leverage. So I agree with you that we need to take opportunities like this to do what we've done, which is ask for more. In addition to the fee that's here, it increases every 5 years. So when we get down to the decades from now, it won't be $10,000. It'll continue to increase so that over time, it'll continue to increase over time so that it goes up. Now, is it perfect? No, it isn't. But we are in control at this point in the game. We've added things in here that were not even a consideration at all, from resident feedback, from council feedback, and we have more work to do. I agree with you. But we're at a place now where we have negotiated on this, and it's up to us to decide if we're gonna help get this part that we've negotiated done and work on the other pieces with some of the other tools in our toolkit, including the future tax revenue that will come into the town from the project. Councilmember McDonald.
Yes, I think for me, any pre-annexation agreements or anything that the town has agreed to in terms of cooperating or working with National View should be noted so that we're all on the same page in terms of what we've already agreed to. And if there should be in that agreement, any adjustments, I guess what we're speaking to right now in terms of asking for more. So are we all on the same page or clear, Mr. Deloach, as to what the pre-annexation agreements were based on this resolution?
Yeah, the pre-annexation agreement is a separate agreement. And they need this agreement in order to get the record plats of subdivision. If you don't do this tonight, then they said it's going to severely impact the schedule. Now, as the mayor indicated, this agreement has been negotiated before I got here. Okay, so this is, I think, 2 years in the making, Mayor. And it's critical, according to them, that we get this signed tonight. And if we don't, it could impact the project severely, according to what they're saying. So as far as what the pre-annexation agreement is, and most of that is indeed reflected in this public use agreement, but it does not mean we can't go back and further negotiate on certain things. But the fact of the matter is, this is at a critical point right now, according to them.
So
You do
follow
not
up
have to
with
approve it
you.
tonight, but it will negatively impact the project. We've had several meetings with them to hammer out the details on the additional work that they were going to do. If you recall that when they were here, they indicated that they could not make a promise on that. It might have been in one of the meetings that we had. It's going to cost them a lot more money to do this. And so they have made concessions here. But if you guys want to try to go back to the bargaining table with them, we can do that. But I don't know where it's going to take this project.
Okay, follow up, Mayor Lily. I have a follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Deloche. Councilmember McDonald.
So to what you just said in terms of, I guess, renegotiations or some of our asks, what are we able to accomplish after, if that be the case, we signed the resolution? What is it that you think we could still negotiate or renegotiate?
Well, it's depending on what you are going to use for. I don't know what exactly the will of the council is as far as more we're trying to get out of them. Okay, the more major and more money it's going to cost them, it's not going to be a very good opportunity. There's not going to be much of a chance that they're going to probably agree to it. I would prefer to talk about a lot of this in closed session. Okay, because if they're listening, I don't think that's in our best interest. So if you guys want to go in a closed session and get some advice on this, we can come back out and then you can take the vote if you would like to have that further information. But I don't feel comfortable talking about a contract right now in open session.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a closed session on the agenda, so we can handle it there. If members are not ready to take a vote. I don't want to make an assumption. Is there any feedback? What would council like to do?
Well, I think we we already have a closed session. You just said that. So we can just add that item on there. And then based on what Attorney Deloche is saying, that he may have some additional information that he can share with us that would educate us more on how to move forward.
All right, if everyone's in agreement, we'll handle this in closed session. So what we need is a motion to amend the agenda to move this after the closed session. I move that we amend tonight's agenda, moving resolution 4126 after the closed session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, moving resolution 41-26 after the closed session. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the agenda is amended. Next, we have resolution 42-26. This is a resolution authorizing the town administrator to pursue financing and procurement of a skid steer with any required attachments or accoutrements through the Maryland state contract, and to take all necessary preliminary actions in coordination with the treasurer, subject to final approval by the mayor and town council. I move that we adopt resolution 42-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 42-26. Discussion. Mr. Jackson, you have an overview for this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, short and sweet. The town has long needed a skid steer. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission blessed us with this grant, and we're able to pay 65% of it. Based on the treasurer's recommendation, we can pay for the remainder out of the public works budget that's already appropriated. The skid steer was a necessary tool with this past winter. We were able to deploy it on, I believe, 6 streets to remove ice and heavy snow. We also have some equipment currently in the public works garage that could use the aid of a skid steer, which comes with multiple attachments to lift heavy equipment. Currently, we've been doing that by hand, which is completely dangerous. But this is a new piece of equipment for the Department of Public Works.
Okay, and how is this funded, the purchase?
So the company that we're going to receive the quote from currently has a Maryland State contract, so we're going to piggyback off their contract.
And which funds were we using to do this?
We're using the beautification funds. The beautification funds has 5 segmented portions, and this falls in the line of storage and equipment and tools.
Okay, Council President Noble.
Where will we store this? Are our bays not full or?
They're full, but we can do some rearrangement to get the skid steer in. In addition to that, there's some old equipment there that I'll be making a recommendation to the council for disposal.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on resolution 42-26, Councilmember Kennedy?
Finally. Does this one have the tread or the tires?
Tread, bucket, and forklift.
Thank you.
Okay, there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hines,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Council President Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly.
Yes,
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have resolution 43-26. This is a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of the Town of Forest Heights authorizing the award of a contract to Choice Concrete Construction Incorporated for the Arapahoe Drive Asphalt Street Repair Project. I move that we adopt resolution 43-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 43-26. Discussion. This resolution is dealing with roadway that was deteriorated or destroyed during the snow removal in the unprecedented ice and snowstorm we experienced this January. And it is, I'll give Mr. Jackson I'll have Mr. Jackson provide additional outline on this project.
So this is I guess a cleanup of the pavement work that the town had True Seal do a few years ago on Arapahoe Terrace. That's on Arapahoe Drive. That's degraded now, and you can actually see the dirt and gravel. We have the Maryland State Highway grant that would fund this project. We sent out an RFP for firms to bid on it. We published it. We had it open for a couple of weeks, and we only had one vendor, which is Choice Concrete. They did a site visit. They provided us the specs, the timeline, and the pricing, which falls completely within the grant funded amount.
Council President Noble.
So I guess the reason for this is because of the damage during the snowstorm or ice storm.
I think the ice storm made it more pronounced. I believe the degradation started a little earlier than that.
And that's the worst street in the town of Forest Heights that occurred. I'm just trying to, because other streets were affected too, but I'm just the degree is greater than any other street in the town?
The damage is pretty substantial.
Thank you.
I'm going to come to Councilmember Brownson in a second. I'll add too that we're aware, we talked about one of the major streets that has issues today. The reason we're not making repairs to some of the other streets is because they're continuing to do the sewer line replacement, so we know there's going to be more damage. So specifically North Huron Drive, Seneca, portions of Woodland, Cree, there's other streets we know that are in the draft capital improvement plan that we know need to be either patched or fully repaved, but we don't want to take town funds or even grant funds and put them into a repair project where we know work is ongoing. So as we get closer to the end of the WSSC project, replacing and disrupting roadways, they're going to do a lot of repaving for damage they've done. And then what's remaining, then we'll do and fix either with grant funds or the town's remaining funds. Councilmember Brownson.
There used to be a list of streets that were going to be repaired and they would go in order. Do we still use that list? Because are we still using that list? Or are we just jumping around?
I haven't seen a list.
Okay, well, there was one. And when
To
it
that
comes
question, if I could, I don't mean to cut you off, but just to that question, we have a draft capital improvement plan, which needs to use some of the recent data we have from our platform that surveys all the town streets. So we are planning to bring a new list that the entire council will see, talk about, and discuss, so we can adopt the plan. So we'll be able to move forward in that order.
And my second question is, I know WSSC is doing work in the town, but to me, you don't have to wait until the long street, all 400 blocks of the street is finished before you can start paving them. I'm speaking of Seneca, they finished certain portion of it, so why can't they fix that street? I'm gonna hop on that till it's gone. And to pay, we need to pave it. I mean, it's worse than Arapahoe. And the Arapahoe happened to be on the street where the mayor lives, so that looks suspicious as well. Why is his street being done before some of the worst streets being done? I'm bringing it to the table. It's being said, so you might as well get it out there. So I mean, we need to do something. We can't wait for WSSC to finish before they do something to these streets, period.
Well, Councilmember, you know what's really interesting is they did WSSC sewer line replacements over in Glass Manor. And I remember driving through when they were doing the project, the roads were a little rough and you saw things coming out of the ground and going into the curbs. And after they finished the project, they came back and repaved all the roadways. One of the reasons why the wait we know is painful, it's not the way we would like for it to be done, but one of the reasons why the wait makes sense in this case, we believe, is because WSSC is going to do some of the repaving themselves at their own cost. And so it saves the town money, and it means they're going to be using their own labor. And I'm sure we'll have you and the town administrator and myself leaning on that team to make sure that they come out and repave those sections. Now, what we could consider for some of the areas, I was on the street by foot last week, and I noticed some places that have holes or potholes, or we can do some patching for the time being to ease the pain. But the repaving, we want to get as much out of the folks who are doing the work, tearing the streets up, as we can. And then we can come in as the town and use the resources very efficiently and get the maximum bang for our buck. Now, we're not going to agree on this. We obviously see this differently, but appreciate your comments on that. Council President Noble. I'm going to go to Council President Noble and I'll come back to you.
Okay.
I'll interject here. Is it possible for WSSC to give us a schedule? So a tentative schedule, so we can kind of anticipate the beautiful streets that we will have at their expense.
It's something we can ask for. The date of the project runs into next spring,
27 sometimes.
27. So we can, one, we can make the ask. Two, we can identify the places where patching can happen now. That won't be a significant expense. It won't be, it will allow some relief while we're getting to that place.
Well,
Councilmember Brownson.
with the residents, and I'm one of them, but perception is truth. And it just says that it's Arapahoe Drive is being paved while we're suffering over there. And Arapahoe Drive is where the mayor lives.
Well, I understand the way you're trying to frame this as if it's a personal project for me, and that's not true. Arapahoe Drive at this particular section at Pitt Lane is a on-ramp to 210. It's the place where traffic from Comanche Drive and Ottawa and Terrell and Quaid and what other streets am I forgetting? We had a lady here, Spokane and Choctaw, and a lot of folks are using the place, and it's a high traffic area. It's a main artery. So I reject that idea. It's not about a mayor's special project. This is something the town administrator identified, and it's a high traffic area, and it's a small portion of the roadway as well. And so that's just what it is. Sometimes there will be a project that happens in the vicinity of your house. When Seneca gets done or when Mohican gets done, people can say the same thing, but it will just be the fact that the project is happening in your ward, in your vicinity. Well, I won't encourage them that you're doing it because it's a personal project, because that's not true. That's not true. And what's important is what's true. Council President Noble.
Just a question on Arapahoe. Will I know they can't widen the street because I guess when we were walking, it is rough over there as a walker on the east side. But will it, because we've done business with Choice Concrete before, and I don't know what kind of warranty there will be for the work, but just how smooth will it be, or will it be walkable? I mean, because people have to walk in the streets.
We're going to do a post inspection, and there is a warranty. However, the warranty specifically is written, and this is from most of the companies that do this work, where they're not going to guarantee that after you put a lot of road salt down, that they'll come back and do it for free. In fact, the first step, I believe, was the TA reached out to the prior vendor and let them know the condition of the roadway and reviewed with them any options to have them come out and repave the work. We had a snowstorm, and the snowstorm, when they use road salt, then that is not something that they will come back. So if it's like something else within an early period of time, it sounds like they can come back. But road salt is one of the items that's not included. But we'll be doing a thorough inspection after. And we expect it to be smooth like new pavement. Any further discussion on resolution 43-26? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hines,
No.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald.
Abstain.
Thank you. Council President Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly,
Yes.
4 yeses, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we'll go to resolution 44-26. This is a resolution of the mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the procurement of public safety radio equipment through Motorola Solutions, utilizing Prince George's County's contract pricing and authorizing the purchase of public safety vehicles and related upfitting services. I move that we adopt resolution 44-26.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 44-26. Discussion. All right, Chief, please give us an overview on Resolution 44-26.
So I'll start with the radios. We've identified some resources that we can use through the speed camera, through the speed money to allocate some radios for the enforcement officers that are needed due to upgrades that are going to be mandated soon. So we're going to use this money to allocate and purchase those radios through Motorola for the program to be able to be operational.
Okay, and to add further clarification, we discussed this at the last meeting. This is a plan that allows the funding that we've captured to be used for specific purposes that support the speed camera monitoring program and prevent us from having to return the funds and replace two older vehicles that were used to collect the speed camera equipment, change it out. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Resolution 44-26? Council President Noble.
Yes, I know the 300,000 is the concern. So how much does this reduce it by?
Give me 1 second. This will reduce it by
Well, you don't have to tell me, but have we identified what we will do with the difference or how we will spend the difference?
yes, ma'am. I got it down to $193.55 left.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
But to answer your question, it'll reduce it by $192.99 and 98 cents.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, ma'am.
It's letter E.
Councilmember McDonald.
I'm trying to understand these amounts, Chief. We got one amount for 76,272. We got another amount for 57. That's all adding up to the 300 and something thousand you're talking about?
No, ma'am. This is just for the radios and the vehicles. There are other items that will need to be purchased that will add up to the 300,000.
So
And
the
we're paying
272.98, the 57,430, and the 59,297 are all amounts for the vehicle. These different amounts.
the 76 is the radios, the 57 and 59 are the vehicles, and the 17 is the upfitting cost for one of the vehicles.
57.59 or 57,430?
50, I'm sorry, it's two totals. So 57,430 is one vehicle, and 59,297 is the second vehicle.
And then the 76,272.
That is for the radios. Each radio is $10,896.14.
So why do we need to have, I guess, it looks like some of these are redundant in that 59,297 is here twice. You have it in the, what is this? 1, 2, 3.
It's actually two different vehicles.
It is?
Yes, one's 57. I'm just gonna round it down. 57,000 for one and 59 for the other. Yeah, so they're actually two different vehicles.
And the question I heard asked was, why is it in there more than once? In the earlier
Right.
whereas portions, it's stating the quote number. And then in the later portion, it's a be it further resolved clause. So there's a whereas clause earlier where it states the quote number, then it's showing
Further resolved.
be it further resolved later on.
And then the 17,000, that's also for a vehicle.
That is the upfitting cost, basically the equipment to go inside of it.
For the uplifting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on resolution 44-26?
And just for clarity, this is coming out. The grant. Public safety grant.
Go ahead, Chief Ruffin.
No, this is the speed camera money that we would have to send back. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hines,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Council President Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, next we have a proposed closed session. And I move that we go into the closed session under the general provisions of Article subsection 3-305 for reason 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And let's see here. So this is for 2 reasons: to get legal advice on a potential contract and discuss strategy, and also for reason 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. And this is to discuss a specific item of potential or pending litigation. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we go into closed session for the reasons 7 and 8 under subsection 3-305. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hines,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
No.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember McDonald,
Yes.
Council President Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
6 yeses, one no, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, members of the public, at this time, the meeting will be closed under the general provisions of Article subsection 3-305. We will give a report of what was discussed and any actions taken after we come out of the closed session. We also have one more item of legislation on the agenda, Resolution 41-26, to discuss after we come out of closed session. We cannot give you an exact time of when we will come back, but you are welcome to wait in the waiting room until the public portion of the meeting resumes. The time is now 10:47 and this meeting is closed.